Even though it's early in the fantasy baseball season, managers are quick to panic on their players' poor performances. In this video, I'll be providing you with 7 players that you should be looking to buy low on in your leagues immediately. Starting it off with Luis Castillo, starting pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. Castillo has been among the game's best in position for several years now, often posting elite ratios and strikeout totals. Last year, he managed to put up a 3.34 ERA and 219 strikeouts while pitching 197 innings, which was among the league leaders. Unfortunately for Castillo and his owners, he's been hit hard in each of his 3 games so far this season that has resulted in him holding a current ERA of 6.89. Although his numbers look poor on the surface, it's important to note that Castillo holds a 3.07 xFIP that suggests some bad luck has gone his way thus far. It's also been known across baseball that Castillo often struggles in April and generally pitches better as the weather warms up. If you could find a way to acquire Castillo for even a fraction of his draft day cost, I personally would make that move. The next buy low I have is Francisco Lindor, the shortstop for the New York Mets. Lindor has been a coveted commodity in fantasy baseball for almost a decade now, very rarely having a bad season. However, in saying this, Lindor has started ice cold at the plate with an average below 150 and a lack of extra base hits. He hasn't looked like himself at all, and that extends back into spring training as well. At this stage in his career though, I think we know who Lindor is at this point. He's the guy that you can pencil in for 25 plus homers and double-digit stolen bases to go along with an average that at the very worst won't hurt you. If anyone in your league is worried about Lindor, make sure you take advantage of that, as this simply is just a cold stretch that just so happened to come at the beginning of the season. Zack Eppler from the Tampa Bay Rays is the next player I have on the list to buy low on. Eppler broke out last year in his first season as a Ray, as their staff was able to maximize his potential with primarily a change in his pitch mix. This allowed Eppler to dominate during a completely healthy season that saw him put up a really solid 3.50 ERA and a WHIP just above 1. The craziest part is that his peripherals suggested his numbers should have been even better. Now, so far this year, in his first 3 starts, Eppler has had 2 poor ones and a great one. Nothing in his profile suggests to me that something is wrong with Eppler from a skill standpoint, playing behind a strong defense and an elite bullpen that will more often than not help his ratios and win totals. This feels like an awesome buy low candidate to make a shot on right now. My next buy low player is another hitter that goes by the name of Evan Carter. Carter absolutely took off in his limited time as a Ranger during the regular season last year, but he was even more impressive during the World Series run. Early on so far this year, Carter has struggled to hit for power and average, which presents a buy low opportunity, even if some other signs signal that nothing is wrong. Carter has almost reached double-digit walks, while his strikeout rate also remains low. He's simply just suffering from a BABIP below 200 that will neutralize itself as the season goes on. I believe that buying low on Carter will pay off, as I still expect him to be a 15-homer, 25-steal guy the rest of the way, which holds some serious value. The one and only reliever to make the list is recent closer of the Houston Astros, which is Josh Hader. Hader has long been known as one of the most dominant closers in baseball, with an overpowering fastball paired with a devastating slider. For the Astros to acquire him and immediately place him in the closer role over the likes of other top-tier arms, including Ryan Presley and Brian Abreu, speaks volumes. Early in the season so far, Hader has really struggled and has already given up runs in 3 separate outings. This, in my opinion, should not cause any panic though, as it sometimes takes players a little bit to get accustomed with their new club. If a manager in your league values Hader as anything besides a top 3 closer in the game, I would urge you to jump on that and pick up Hader for the discount. Moving on to starting pitcher Max Fried now of the star-studded Atlanta Braves. Fried has gotten absolutely shelled in his first 2 outings of 2024, allowing over 5 or more runs in each of them. However, it is worth noting that during his first start, Fried had a strike 3 call called a ball that resulted in many runs scoring after the fact. If the proper call was made, Fried's outing may have looked completely different. Typically, Fried is as steady as they come, posting consistent quality starts and strikeout totals over the years. Health will always continue to be a concern, but his velocity looks good so far, and he's backed by arguably the best offense in all of baseball. Fried's value will never be lower than it is at the moment, so take advantage of that and shoot a buy low offer towards his way. The final player I have for you to try and buy low on is one of the slowest starters of this group, Julio Rodriguez. Julio is both a phenomenal talent and fantasy option, but is clearly in a bit of a fuck currently. If you can recall from last season, Rodriguez also started really slow in the first couple months, but went on an absolute tear for the rest of 2023. It's hard to find players that provide across the board with major power and speed numbers without sacrificing for average, so he truly is far and few in between. Taken in the first round of many drafts just a few weeks ago, if anyone's value has changed in that regard, acquiring Rodriguez is something that you should be looking to make happen. He is one of very few players that has league-altering ability if everything breaks right again for him the rest of the way. That wraps up my list for players to buy low on in fantasy baseball. Let me know what you agree or disagree with, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.